They say Highway 10 is where drivers go to disappear. Most truckers won't even look at mile marker 42 after midnight. Last night, I found out why. If you're driving alone tonight, you might want to pull over and listen, because this story could save your life. The rain wasn't just falling, it was screaming against the glass. It was 3 a.m. on a forgotten stretch of Highway 10 in Louisiana. The kind of road where the shadows of the cypress trees look like reaching hands, twisting in the wind. I've been driving long-haul rigs for 15 years, and I've seen some strange things, but nothing prepares you for the absolute silence of the bayou at night. Then, I saw her, standing right under the flickering light of mile marker 42. A girl, no older than 20, wearing a yellow sundress that was soaked to her skin. She didn't wave, she didn't move. She just stared into the headlights with a gaze that felt like ice. Against my better judgment, I pulled over. The air brakes hissed into the damp night as I rolled down the window. "Need a lift?" I shouted over the storm. She didn't say a word, just climbed into the passenger seat and closed the door with a dull thud. She smelled like old pond water and wilted lilies. An unnatural cold seemed to roll off her in waves, turning the cabin into a freezer. My breath began to fog in the air. "Where to?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. She pointed a pale, trembling finger straight ahead. "Home," she whispered. Her voice sounded like dry leaves skittering across broken pavement. For the next 10 miles, the radio played nothing but heavy, rhythmic static. I tried to make small talk, but she just stared out the side window. That's when I noticed it in the rearview mirror, her reflection. It wasn't there. The passenger seat looked completely empty in the glass. My heart began to hammer against my ribs. I looked to my right, and she was still there, but her skin was changing. It was turning a bruised, mottled blue, peeling away in thin strips. Water started pooling at her feet, but it wasn't rainwater. It was thick, black, muddy swamp water that crawled across the floorboards. "The bridge," she croaked. Up ahead was the Black River Bridge. I remembered the news from a year ago. A car had spun out of control right there during a storm. A girl in a yellow dress was never found. Suddenly, she turned her head. Her neck cracked with a loud, sickening pop. Her eyes were gone, replaced by jagged shards of glass embedded in her sockets. She lunged toward me, her blue, rotting fingers reaching for the steering wheel. "I don't want to be alone down there anymore," she shrieked, her jaw unhinging unnaturally wide. The truck swerved. I slammed on the brakes, the massive trailer jackknifing across the wet asphalt. The world spun in a blur of black and silver. When the truck finally groaned to a halt, inches from the bridge railing, the passenger seat was empty. There was no girl. Only a puddle of stagnant swamp water and a single rusted locket remained on the seat. I picked up the locket with shaking hands and pried it open. Inside was a photo of the girl in the yellow dress and a date engraved in the metal. March 28th, tonight's date. I don't drive Highway 10 anymore. They say if you stop at mile marker 42 on a rainy night, you might get a passenger. But be warned, she isn't looking for a ride home. She's looking for someone to take her place in the dark.